It's that time. Welcome to Roadmap. How to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week we interview a great agent who is consistently taking 2, 3, 4 listings each week. And we have an exciting guest today. And we encourage you to take as many notes as you can and to apply as much of this knowledge as you can. So get something out to write with on your computer, or however you're going to write things down. So if you have any questions, you can ask those at the end. And as we get near the end of the show, there'll be a great opportunity to ask a lot of questions of our guest. So first, let me introduce my co-host from San Diego, Carly Hathaway. That's carlyhathaway.com. Hi, Carly.
Hi, everybody. Thanks
How's
for
real estate business?
Real estate business in San Diego is amazing. It's hot. It's a seller's market.
Good.
Best time to take listings. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm going to go over the Vulcan 7 challenge first, and then then we'll introduce our guest here in a minute. So the Vulcan 7 challenge, as you know, and Carly, you did it last week. You went to see Hal Swayze and learned a lot up in San Luis Obispo. So the Vulcan 7 challenge is where, 12 times a year, once a month, you drive 4 or 5 hours to another market, shadow somebody who's doing what you want to do. They've got the best of all worlds. They're taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week. They're working during the week. They're off on the weekends. They're not working late at night. They're doing all the things you want to do, and then shadow them. Get there that evening, have dinner with them, and then get to their office first thing in the morning, spend all morning writing notes, recording what they're saying, what they're doing, and go to lunch with them and head back home, get on a plane or drive back home, whatever it may be. At the end of a year, you've got 12 amazing friends, and you become one of them. That's the Vulcan 7 challenge. Now, before I introduce our guest, I want to let you know that for the first time, we're simulcasting with a private Facebook lead gen group and so we're going to have an extra 400 or 500 people migrating on over the next 10 minutes that'll migrate on. That's just the way that works. So somewhere, I apologize to our guest in advance. As we get about 8 or 10 minutes in, we're going to take a little pause. I'm going to welcome that group, let them know what they're watching and why. And also I have to do, as a thank you for being able to simulcast, do a couple plugs. So that's just life, and that's just the way that goes. But the good news is we'll have all those people joining us, and then there'll be an opportunity if you want to get involved with their group. They have like 40,000 people, all about lead gen. It's a great group, so you may want to get involved with that. But we'll mention that about 8 or 10 minutes in. So our guest, this will be a real treat. It's a treat for me. I've known him for a long time. He's proved by example that you can have the dream life. Take 2, 3, 4 listings a week, work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, take weekends off, spend time with your family, go get an ice cream cone, take several weeks vacation, invest in the future. He gives back now. He bought real estate companies, and so he has real estate offices, and he shares what he knows with his agents so they can have a great life. I mean, you look around at real estate agents, they work all the time. They never take any time off. They're working nights and weekends, and they're barely getting by. And, he will share with you some of the recipes, the formulas that make it just so much easier. From greater Chicagoland, and I hate to tell this to him in advance, you're not going to hear the applause, but there's lots of applause because everybody's on mute. Give a warm welcome to Ron Wexler.
Woohoo! Yay!
Woo! Hey, Ron.
Hello there. How are you?
Thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, very excited to be here.
We are glad you're here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. We're really excited to take some of the knowledge that you've gained and just use it to our advantage.
Great.
Yes, I remember an interview that was being done many years ago where they were interviewing him, and he was like, well, I leave at 8 in the morning, I work all day, and then I get home at 5 o'clock, and I'm selling, and he was, taking 8, 10 listings a month. And I was like, how does he do that? And I played that recording over and over and over again. I'm like, that's the win-win here. That is the win-win. And now we see it. So many people have this thing figured out. So he's going to share his ability with time management, his focus, things like that. So what's a lot of this has changed though, because you've done this for 20 years, but all of a sudden now, like, you put it on autopilot.
It's, when we started talking the other day, Ren, it was kind of interesting to me because now we're talking about what I used to do.
There
And
we go.
until 2 years ago, we were always talking about what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And although, you still have to follow a schedule, still have to follow a plan, still use scripts and dialogues, I'm just doing it in different avenues right now. And my team is still doing, well, we'll talk about it a little bit, but my team is doing more business now without me doing those things than I ever did.
There you go. But you got to start somewhere, and that's a great place to start because when you started, you were firing on all cylinders. You had this thing figured out. So, and there are a lot of people on this that are involved with Vulcan 7, and then of course we have the simulcast group. Those people are watching, and they want to get to where they can just take one listing a week, 4 a month. But you've got that formula where you can start in the business, and within a year or two, you're making a fabulous income. You're on the listing side of the business. What are the steps they need to take? What did you do in your first year? What did you do, and how'd you get there?
Well, what's fun about it is, that first, I did what everyone else did. I grinded, and it was based on how much income do I need. So it was like, I have a wife, 3 kids, 7 days a week, 24/7. You want me to come to your house at 11:30 at night to list it? No problem. I did what everybody normally does.
Anytime, anywhere, any place, huh?
Whatever. I remember I was in the office typing my own Homes magazine ads once, which will tell you how long ago it was. And the police knocked on the door, and they're like, "It's 2:00 in the morning. What are you doing in there?" We were leaving for vacation the next day, and I had like 3 listing appointments that day. I had to get them all in the computer, and I had to write the Homes magazine ads. So I haven't done it all, and I've made every mistake probably 10 times more than anyone else. So, we learn from where we screw it up more so than from what we do right. So.
Yeah.
And then you got it to where it was like 8 to 5, Monday through Friday,
So, and so that first started with, the word, like I'm doing with my team, the 3 offices I'm part of right now, we have like 600 agents. And so between those 3 offices, I'm spending a lot of time training. And I keep talking about this one word that all of us hate being independent contractors, and it's surrender.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Ren, we were together in a room with 5,000 people, and across the back of the stage in big giant letters, it said surrender, right? Do you remember that?
There we go. That's right.
And that's it. That was the beginning when I started saying, I think I'm great with scripts and dialogues, but I wonder if these other guys' scripts and dialogues are better. And I started using them, and I set up practice partners for every single day. And I started memorizing and practicing and rehearsing and internalizing the scripts. I took language of sales classes. I did everything I could where I was already a pretty good salesperson. I was like, I either want to be a pretty good salesperson and work half as many hours, or I want to be a great salesperson and work half as many hours, but I don't want to work 70 or 80 hours anymore.
Yeah.
So
what did your typical, when you started doing this and started doing your scripts and really working the programs, what did a typical day look like? You say 8 to 5. So can you walk us through a typical day for you?
Of course, the day doesn't really start when you get to the office. Right. So, it was first thing in the morning. I set my alarm for 4:47, which I know half the people are going to hit delete now.
Yeah.
4:47, and I worked out. I was on the I wore out 2 treadmills, right? Because I was getting so pudgy because of the life I was living. That was one of the first things. I was like, what good is it to be unhealthy? So the first thing is I started working out every single day. I cut all the sugar out of my diet. I just did some things there. So my work day, and I had kids, so it was driving kids to school, it was whatever it was. I was in the office no later than 8 o'clock. When I walked 8 o'clock, and the first thing I did is I had a practice partner from 8 to 8:30, 5 days a week, and I did that for probably 7 years. So again, everybody wants everything tomorrow. Nothing happened in one day.
Yeah.
However, my sales started to grow immediately. Like my conversations got so good because all we did was we practiced expired scripts for sale by owner scripts, sphere scripts. Then we'd practice the listing presentation scripts. We'd practice the objections around price, or the objections around commission, the objection, one of the things that someone taught us that was real helpful is there's only 4 to 6 objections for any aspect of what you're doing. There's only a few ways they can say, I don't want to list with you. There's only so many ways they can say your price is too high, or your price is too low, your commission's too high. I don't like the location of your office. There's not a lot that they can come up with that you haven't heard before once you start truly studying it.
Yeah.
And so we became masters of handling those objections. No real estate agent should cringe when a seller says, I want you to cut your commission. That doesn't even make any sense because you're going to hear that over and over and over again. You should be like, hell, this is a softball objection. This is easy.
Yeah.
It shouldn't destroy you.
Okay.
And so I got hardcore about the practice. And then I was right on the phones, calling the expireds, then calling the for sale by owners, basically, I'm not saying we do it anymore, but we were actually it's before the do not call and some other stuff. We were making calls. There was no real rule about what time you can call, at that point. So we were calling at 8:30. Today I don't believe that's a good idea. So, but we were on the phone, we were pounding it out at, just right away. I called I just had, this is before we had a lot of computer systems for it. I had every single expired, and I called every expired every day until I reached them. And that was that was between 9 and 11. And it wasn't optional. I'm not going to call them. And a lot of people are like, well, if you didn't reach them in the morning, you try them in the afternoon or try them at night. I didn't want to work at night. So I didn't want to reach people that were only home at night. And I just was like, I don't even care. I don't really care anymore if these guys are only home on Saturday, because I'm never going on another Saturday appointment the rest of my life. I'm going to be with my family.
So that rule, the people you call during the day are the same people you can meet with during the day, and heck with the rest of them.
Exactly. And, did I start that way? Heck no. Did I work into that? So, you first decide what you have to do to eat. Mm-hmm. And then you can start as you get better. It's really fun. When I got really hardcore with lead gen, and I know, Ren, you probably did the same thing where we did the double headset and we had 2 telephones and we dialed 2 phones at the same time. Now we're using auto dialers. We were our own auto dialers. And actually, honestly, I think we talked to more people an hour doing it with 2 phones and a double headset than some of the speed dialers that people are playing with right now. So basically, I would just call 2 people. And if someone answered in my left ear, I would keep dialing people in my right ear, and every time someone answered, I put a check mark next to their name. And so I know that I could call that person next and they would answer. And we got 40 to 45 contacts an hour suddenly, where we had always been at, 12 or 15 or something.
I know.
That's
when
amazing.
That was hot. Our friend Ann up the road was doing 200 a day for a while there.
Yeah, we had fun. We did 9 months, 100 a day for 9 months, 500 a week.
That's a lot of contacts.
Yeah, and contact, a human conversation. And, one of the fun things that happened during that is this one day I called her and it was only like 10 o'clock. And I said, I just hung up with person 101. And I said, I want to just go home. I can't, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I've already talked to 100 people.
Well, that's the magic time to be calling anyway. So
yeah.
And what was funny is she challenged me. She goes, don't stop. How many appointments do you have today? I was like, I only have 1 appointment. She goes, go until 5 o'clock and see how many you could reach. And I ended up with 225 contacts that one day, right?
Wow, that's amazing.
It was really fun. So part of it is I've always made everything a game, right? So we're just playing.
It feels like that right now.
It is like I'm playing that, I'm a coach. I'm playing that I'm an operating partner of an office. I'm playing that I'm a real estate agent with a big team. And it's like, okay, how do I play the game and who do I need on my team to play this game? And that's all it is. So we were playing the how many contacts a day can you make game. And, it all starts with activities. And then you work on your conversion rate. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of agents don't really get that you've got to talk. At the beginning, I was talking, well, I'll give you an example. The year we did that 100 contacts a day, at the end of the year, I had 12,000 and some change contacts, about 12,000 contacts. And we closed 120 that year. The next year, I had 4,500 contacts and we closed 132.
That's incredible. So good.
So it was a conversion rate, right? But I had to do the activities first and then focus on the conversion.
Right.
So that's your lead gen time. And honestly, it's not optional.
Okay.
It's whatever your goal for contacts is, that's the only goal that you have that matters. And when I got to that mindset, that's when I could do the schedule that I wanted. I could start living the life that I wanted. I started building a conversion rate. So I started having the income I wanted. Everything came from that part of it, that initial discipline. And of course, that's the one thing none of the agents want to do. So when I'm trying to,
everybody wants to pay somebody else to make the calls.
Everybody wants to have someone else. They've always, again, we've seen it. This is my 35th year. So, I don't feel like I'm anywhere near that old, but it is. And when I
started
think
when
about
you were 9, yes.
Yeah, I started when I was negative. So no, but people wanted to, they have always from day one, they wanted to to have a mailing that was the magic mailing. Then when we got the computers, we wanted a magic email. We wanted a magic whatever. That's what's incredible. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about Vulcan 7, but what was awesome about Vulcan is
talk about Vulcan 7 all you want.
Okay.
We love Vulcan 7.
Here's what's amazing about it, right? And I've been on it from day one. I mean, I don't think you were in business more than 10 minutes before I got it. And what's amazing about it is the one thing that can change your whole business is you talking to human beings.
Yeah.
And none of the same agents who wouldn't go in the computer, pull the expireds, get the phone number and call them. Now you put it in a computer system and on a dialer, and all of a sudden they're doing it, which cracks me up, right? Like I had an assistant that got to the office at 7 a.m. And pulled the for sale by owners and the expireds and checked them against the previous and all of that. Right. So by the time I walked in and started dialing at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock, it was all ready. I didn't get ready to start making calls at 9 o'clock. The phone started, I was dialing by then.
Well, yeah. At the very beginning of this, you talked about the importance of internalizing those scripts and getting really, 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 really good at this. I'm already starting to see questions of, along the chat bar along those lines, like, what do you say when somebody says, I'm going to relist with the same agent, things like that. What's the importance of really mastering those scripts so you can, when the seller gives you that, which they're going to do automatically, that you have something to come back and something else to come back and something else to come back. Why is that important?
Right. Well, so again, making it a game, like, I still play baseball, right? I mean, do you show up to the game without a mitt and a bat?
Yeah, there you go.
The script is the tool. The script is literally your tools to be a great real estate agent. It's not your computer. It's not any of that, because the script is you speaking to a human being.
Yeah.
That is doing real estate. Everything else is a support for that. The dugout isn't the baseball game. Your uniform isn't, uniform is probably one of your tools if you're playing like that. But, your actual tools are the mitt and the bat.
Yeah.
Right. And so the script to me is the actual tool. It's not all the other stuff.
Right.
And so everyone tries to make the other stuff like the main thing. And that's why they spend all this time getting ready to get started and, thinking about beginning and trying to hire. And, my team now does have, ISAs and things like that. It took like hiring 4 people to replace what I did on my own.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
So
that's about how that goes. That's a good reflection of the critical part of skill. You would have to have a half a dozen people to recreate what you're doing, and they still aren't going to do it as well.
No. And even and we have some really great ones, but let's face it, no one's going to have your passion for what you're doing. And instead of, that's not like an egotistical statement. It's not whatever. It's just reality. You're no good agent or great agent is going to replace themselves with one person.
No. And even it's just supplemental. If you hire 2 or 3 people, the best thing they can do is become that Jedi with the scripts. And then and only then can you train 2 or 3 people to at least supplement some of that business.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't be afraid.
What's something that would keep you going? Like, it's easy to just say, oh, I don't want to make calls today, or like, I'm not into it. Or I know you're training these new younger agents coming up.
Yeah.
How do you get them to get on the phones every day at 8 a.m.? Like,
right.
kind of what did you do, and what are you teaching them to do? So
for me, it was when the 3rd kid was born, and we bought a bigger house, and I like I don't drink or smoke. I love driving fun cars, right? And like when I met my wife and she had 2 kids already, I had 3 cars, right? A couple of those cars had to go, and I had to start, changing what I was driving. And I wanted to get back to all my toys. Again, we're playing the game of life. We're in the body for 100 years, and then we're dust. It's like, while I'm here, I'm going to just live the best I can and get the most I possibly can out of it. And so if I know that 2 hours a day for 20 years has created the life that I have right now, I don't know any other business where you can do it.
You're right.
I don't know where you can make, just shy of $1 million a year, by mastering this and work on Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
And do one thing.
House.
Yeah.
Right. And so, going back to the 9 to 5, because I know you've always gotten a kick out of that, basically and again, it was a process. So I'll just share a little bit how the process went. So, the first thing was, I was like, I want some time off on the weekend. It doesn't have to be the whole weekend. It wasn't like suddenly one day I was working 80 hours and the next day I was working 42. So I found another agent in the office. I said, listen, I will cover anything in your business that has to be done on Saturday, if you'll cover anything that has to be done in my business on Sunday. And so it's not like all, wasting time stuff, but, you have to meet with the seller. It's the only day you can meet with them. Mm-hmm. You have to, you promise somebody an open house or whatever it is. I don't care. I'll present your offers. I'll do whatever it takes. If you'll give me my life back on Sunday, I'll give you your life back on Saturday. And so that was the first thing. And then I was like, boy, wouldn't it be fun to be home to put Trent to bed at least one night a week? How about Wednesday night? And I found somebody, I said, if you'll cover 100% of my business from 5 to 9 on Wednesday, I'll cover 100% of your business from 5 to 9 any other weekday you pick. And so I started lowering it, doing that at first. Mm-hmm. And then I started to learn the scripts to get people to work with me during the hours I was available. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even have to do that deal anymore. I mean, literally, I would say this.
Really, you just started the process, putting it in smaller and smaller containers, and then you just future paced and set it up with the clients,
right?
Where everything just operated in that time frame,
right? And because I was a normal real estate agent, and I knew what I wanted, but I didn't believe it was possible. Mm-hmm. Think about how many of us say, "Well, I'd like to not work nights," and then that drunk monkey little voice in our head goes, "Too bad. Go get a real job then." Like, in real estate, everybody works at night, and I was like, "Well, okay. Now that I'm not working Wednesday nights, I haven't lost any business. Let's add Thursday nights." And I just kept backing off and backing off. So at the beginning, I didn't trust that there were scripts that would work to get people to work with me during those hours. So I, just created the flexibility by leveraging through someone else having to work those hours. Right. Eventually, I was like, nobody else has to work those hours. I know what to say now.
Yeah.
That's it. So Linda on here is saying, tips for an 18-year-old, I'm new to the business. Well, actually, the tips are, Linda, working with people in a limited time frame. And really, the only way you can do that is where most of your business is on the listing side of the business. Would that be a fair statement?
Absolutely. The listing side. So again, what I did with the buy side when I started to really get hardcore about this is, the buyers are the ones that have less flexibility usually about looking, although maybe that's just my limiting belief, that like both of them have to be available on, they're both of them aren't available till Saturday at noon, and with sellers, I always felt like I could convince them, maybe just because it was for 1 hour, that I could convince the seller easier to be home at 3:30 than I could convince a buyer to start looking at, if you want to be done by 5, you'd sometimes have to start looking at 1, right, or 2. Buyer, it wasn't as much as it is now, where it's one, you meet them at a house and show it to them. We put them in the car and drove them around for hours, or they drove in their car and we drove in our car.
It's a lot easier on the listing side. I mean, people will go home in the middle of the day to have their teeth cleaned, or they'll, at 11 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. You want to be with you to sell their home.
Right. Yeah. So here's the magic, the first magic script, right? It was, instead of saying, when can we meet, or when would you like to meet? It was, what daytime hours do you have available this week for us to sit down together?
Perfect.
What daytime hours? So I just eliminated weekends and nights in my question. Because if I say to you, when are you available? You're automatically going to say, oh, we get home at 6 o'clock and blah, blah, blah. And when I would ask that question, they'd go, well, actually, I can shoot home early on Thursday. And my wife, that's her day off. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the same guy who, if you said, when are you available, would have said 7 o'clock on Thursday. He goes, well, actually, I can get, that's the day when I'm allowed to leave the office early. And I had a lot of those conversations with people. What day do you, if you're a doctor's, that's Ren's example, right? If you're a doctor's appointment, what day do you leave early? Doctor's not meeting you at 7 o'clock at night at his office.
Right.
No, not at
exactly.
all.
Never.
Not at all. And so we're back to scripts again. What daytime hours? Everything's driven by that script. It's sort of like McDonald's, which is run by 16-year-olds. It's very well run, but it's the script. It's not the 16-year-olds.
Right. It's always the scripts. And I shared this with Ren the other day, and I said, the thing that's really hit me recently, like we just bought our 3rd office, and I'm coaching, teaching language of sales class, which is a blast. I'm sure, Ren, you took it. We all love that class, right? Take some class, and I know you've got some, take something that teaches you to be amazing at scripts. I know people are with different companies and different coaching or whatever.
You're teaching language of sales with Keller Williams, MAPS Coaching. Is that correct?
Right.
So if they want to get involved in that, they could.
Yeah, they can do
be
it.
A Caldwell banker and do that, couldn't they?
Right. Well, we have people from all different companies, and I just didn't know if you wanted that mentioned here, so I was trying to be.
You're doing so much give back for your agents and everybody. I've seen you do so many free talks on helping people with expireds and for sale by owners, and if you're doing language of sales, and I'm sure they'd have to pay for that, but if they want to get involved, I think it's great. What's your website? Do you have a website if they want to reach you? Or if they want to, since they have, and so many people do, they have a referral for the Chicago area.
Right.
How do they reach you, Ron?
Okay, so a couple of things. You can just email me and just do ron@ronwexler.com.
Okay.
I'm glad to answer emails. I'm assuming I'm not getting 1,000 of them. So I'm glad to answer some emails if people have specific questions.
Good.
If you want to look at language of sales, it's just mapslos.com. So they can go there and it'll take them right to that page so they can see what it's about.
Mapslos.com. Good.
Yeah, just mapslos.com. And as far as referrals to Chicago, my team, and you'll love this. All right, here's the thing. So 3 years ago, I went on approximately 200 listing appointments, and we closed 150 transactions.
That's awesome.
Last year I went on 2 listing appointments. This is finally getting leverage, and we closed 165.
Mm-hmm.
This year I've gone on 0 appointments, and we're right around 190 closed for the year.
That's amazing.
And what he is telling you, he's down in Costa Rica right now. He's been there.
He's on the beach right now. He has shorts on under that suit.
Here's what's really great, right? I'm supposed to be in a class in Austin Monday morning at 8:00. The Cubs were playing the Dodgers in Los Angeles at 4:00 on Sunday night. I changed my flight on Sunday morning. I went to LA, picked up my son, went to the Cubs game, unfortunately they lost, but went and took my kid to a Cubs game, sat 16 rows up from home plate, had a blast, watched the game, got on the red eye, and I was here for my class at 8:00 Monday morning.
Nice. That's the lifestyle we're all looking for, right?
Right. And I was in Costa Rica last week. I'm going to Joplin to help out this week and New York next week. Here's the thing. All of that is from the one
prospecting
of getting incredible at lead gen.
Okay. So they're 1 year in the business, 2 years in the business, 3 years in the business. If you want to give them 4 or 5 do's and 4 or 5 don'ts that they can write down is for this week to move in the right direction. They're already starting to figure out everything's very scripted. And they're going to, people are like, where do I get these scripts and things like that? Well, they can reach out.
Okay.
You'll help them.
Or just look up online. You can find them online easily. Just expired scripts.
And here's the thing, you'll take a basic script like from Bold or from something Ren's doing. I don't know if we're allowed to mention coaching programs, but there's plenty of great scripts out there. Yeah. I honestly would decide where am I going to be incredible. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was the expireds. When I first started, I didn't like talking to my past clients, even though I had a bunch of past clients. I don't know, I had that thing in my head that you're bothering them, and for the first 5 years when I got serious about it, I really just ignored my past clients. And when they came to me, they came to me. If they didn't, of course, now we know that's a total massive mistake. Uh-huh. I was okay going out and pounding the pavement for brand new people every day. So I focused 100% on becoming incredible at the expired and FSBO scripts. And that was it.
Can we role play and do an expired script together?
Sure.
All right.
But you want me to call you?
Yeah, call me.
All right. No, I haven't even done one for a year. So
no, don't get nervous.
Ring, ring, ring.
Second nature to you.
All right, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, this is Ron Wexler calling from Keller Williams.
Oh my God. Another agent.
10 millionth agent to call you today.
Yes.
Yeah. Have they started circling your house in helicopters yet?
Pretty much. You're like the 10th person that has called today.
You know what? I have to work with these people every day. How do you think I feel? Yeah. I was calling because I saw your listing expired, and I know if we got together and figured out how to get the most money out of your house, you won't have to have anybody else calling anymore. We can get your house sold. Are you still interested in getting your home sold?
I mean, yes and no. Like, honestly, my agent's good. I don't know that she's worked hard for me. I don't know that I'd want to just abandon her. Okay.
All right, great. So if we sold your house, where would you be moving to?
Moving to Colorado.
Colorado. Excellent. Yeah. What's in Colorado?
Oh, I love the snow.
The
I don't
snow?
get any of that in California. I miss it. I miss seasons.
Okay. So you want to get to Colorado. You're tired of California.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this. If we got your house back in the market right now and found you a buyer at your price in the next 3 to 5 weeks, would that work for you?
I mean, of course.
Okay. So what's more important? Are you really worried about your friend, or are you really concerned about making this move and not being here through the winter when you could be in Colorado skiing and enjoying the snow?
I mean, I want to be in Colorado.
Okay. All right. So I saw you were asking $249,900 for your house. Is that right?
Yes.
Where did you guys pick that price?
I don't really know.
Oh.
She just said that was what it would sell for. And I was like, okay.
All right, great. Well, one of the things you're going to love is our team gets, we call it absolute top dollar for our sellers. That's our focus. Would that be okay with you?
I mean, that sounds great.
All right. Do you have some time this afternoon about 2 o'clock for us to get together? We're going to need about 25 to 30 minutes for us to look at your home and figure out what we have to do to get it sold and get you moved.
I mean, I could make that work. What do I tell my other real estate agent?
Well, I mean, it came up as expired already. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Were they supposed to put it back on the market or what? I mean, they've already kind of abandoned you. You're not sold right now. I mean.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt to just meet.
Yeah. Why don't we just get together? Don't worry about the other agent right now. We might decide not to work together, right?
That's true. Can you do 7? Can you do 7 p.m. tonight instead?
7? I'm totally booked tonight. How important is it for you to get this home sold?
It's important. It's a top priority.
Can you be home today at 2 o'clock?
Yeah, I can make that work. Yeah.
All right, perfect. I promise we'll make it quick and painless, and I think you're going to love what we have to say. Let me ask one other thing. Do you have an email address where I can just send you a little preliminary information that you could look at before we meet?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So blah, blah, blah. And that's what I would do.
That was great.
Not everybody.
Really good. And,
not everybody's that easy, right?
Oh, was I too easy?
People, well, I mean, for the 2 o'clock part, you might have got more resistance, right? Okay. Some people be like, no, I get home at 7. That's the best I can do, blah, blah, blah. And, we didn't used to have this problem until you guys came into existence, to be honest.
Because all the phone calls.
We didn't have their cell phone numbers and we didn't have their work phone numbers. We didn't have any other way to reach them. So we called their house, and if they didn't answer, we left a voicemail. We didn't get to have those conversations in the past. So it's one of the gifts of Vulcan, of what you guys created, actually.
And do you still leave voicemails, or do you teach your team to leave voicemails, or no?
Strategically, I recorded the voicemails that we use in Vulcan, and it really depends. So if somebody wants like kind of the trick, if you're doing for sale by owners or expireds, your messages should be a conversation. And so the first time you leave a message, it's like, hey, it's Ron Wexler from Keller Williams. I saw a listing on your home at expired, and we just sold a few like yours in the area, and I was really excited about maybe seeing if I could help you get it sold. I'll check back. If you have a chance, can you call me at? And then the next day, you're going to call the exact same one, or maybe that afternoon. Don't say the same thing again. So next time you call, you go, hey, it's Ron Wexler from Keller Williams. I can't believe I missed you this morning. I'm just really excited about selling your house. And before I go to my next appointment, I got 2 more people that are listing with me tonight. Before I go on this next appointment, I just wanted to find out if you were around and maybe we can get together and talk about selling your house. Yeah. And so then the third message, oh, I can't believe I missed you again. I just keep thinking about your house. So what I did like way before we had the technology is I just made like a little grid, and I wrote out 7 messages that were a conversation, and I just put in the grid, on day 1, and it was message 1, day 2, message 2, day 3, message 3. So I always knew what day I was talking to that person and what message I was leaving. And I'm sure, basically we do that exact same thing in Vulcan now if we want to.
That energy and enthusiasm in your messages is very contagious, and I would cause because if we've, I remember a couple of sellers would play back the messages on their voicemail, and it would be like dozens of them, but there would always be one that was pretty excited. So that must have been you and your market.
Well, you know what's great about that? You know why you sounded good? Because you had a script for back to that conversation. I could literally do all 7 conversations, probably all 7 messages right now. I haven't even looked at them in probably 2 years, and I just did the first 3. So like, when you do it over and over and over, the other guys are going, I was kind of calling, like they don't even know what they're going to say, and they start trying to talk into their voicemail. I'd rather leave no message than a poor message. Yeah. Because the truth is, I can deny I said something if it's not being recorded, but if you have it on tape, you can just play it over and over again. Look how terrible this guy sounds. Why would I hire him? And when I was really good at it, I would get phone calls back between message 4 and message 6. That's what was really interesting. They go, we've had 8 million agents call, but we could tell you know what you're doing.
Because you were so passionate.
Because you're passionate, and I would say something like, we just sold 2 other houses in your neighborhood. I saw, I can't believe your house hasn't sold. There's been 3 other homes like yours that have sold in the area in the last 90 days. I can't believe yours isn't one of them. That's why I got kind of excited. I'm sorry it didn't sell, but I'm kind of excited that maybe we can work together and get this job done for you.
Yeah.
And nice. But if you don't know what you're going to say, like I said, if I'm talking to you right now and I say something stupid or I say something a little off, you can tell from our conversation whether I'm still confident, but I just said something stupid. If it's the only thing they have and it's on a tape, a voicemail, and they can play it over and over. And like I said, I used to get it all the time. They'd call me back between message 4 and message 6. And it happened a lot. And they just say, well, now you know what you're doing. I'm like, you don't know anything about me. I'm just good at leaving voicemail.
They're just going by a feeling, as a lot of people do. It's just a feeling.
Yeah.
One of the things I was really impressed with your role play of moving her from 7 p.m. to 2 p.m. And one of the things I know is you have almost 100% success with that. You've done it so much because you were home with the family and Trent and the kid, and everybody. You were at home at 5 o'clock. So either you mastered that or you starved. Yeah.
Well, the game that we played, what was really fun is the game that I used to play was I don't leave the office at 5. I'm at home at 5.
Nice.
And you mentioned this one friend, Ann. She used to call me and go, it'd be like 4:52. She'd go, where are you right now? Because she didn't believe I was getting home at 5. And she called me on the phone and go, come on, seriously. I'm like, I'm pulling in my garage right now. Dinner's on the table. My wife and kids are waiting for me. And
that was the game. That was the game.
And so it goes.
She was one of your accountability partners.
She was a strong accountability partner. So, having accountability partners is real important. Creating accountabilities with your family is real important. Saying to your kid, I'm never going to miss another baseball game. Saying to your kid, you can go to any college you want to in the world because when I'm working, I'm working.
Yeah. Hold that thought right there. You said that, or I found it. I think I told you I found it written down. That a lot of people, the reason agents work at nights and weekends is because they don't do what they're supposed to do from 9 to 5.
Yeah, so they feel guilty. When they're at work, they feel guilty because they're not home with their family. And when they're home with their family, they feel guilty because they really didn't do what they were supposed to when they were at work. And I used to walk out the door of that office with no guilt whatsoever. I felt everything I was supposed to do today, I did. Mm-hmm. And, again, going with sports, at the end of the game, like that Cubs game the other night, it was 1-1 going into the bottom of the 9th inning, right? And people are saying, well, the Cubs didn't do that well. I'm like, they held the other team to 1 run the entire game. It all fell apart in the bottom of the 9th inning. Yeah. But the bottom line is they played actually an incredible baseball game. They didn't have any offense. I mean, ultimately, you don't win a lot of baseball games scoring 1 run, right? And so for us, it's the same thing. You're not going to do well calling 1 seller. You're not going to do well talking to 3 people a week. You talk to 20 to 25 people every single day for the next 3 years, you will change your entire trajectory of your life, your family. You'll change everything. And what most people do is they do 25 for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I tried it. It doesn't work. Believe me, I tried it. I did 100 a day for 9 months. And I ended up, think about it, I talked to 12,000 people and we ended up with 120 closed transactions and probably 30 of those were past clients. So out of 12,000 people, 90 said yes. That's do those numbers. That's pretty poor, right?
What would you say the minimum contacts new agents should try to reach per day?
I think if you're new, you have nothing else to do. Right? If you want to really
good point.
That's
if you
true.
want to really, if you're brand new or you're in the business and you're not hitting your goals, what are you doing all day? Go talk to human beings. And that's kind of what I was doing when I was doing that 100. It was 3 to 5 hours every day. And I didn't care because I was like, what else really matters? And I started leveraging out other stuff so I didn't have to do it. I was like, my job is prospect, list, negotiate, and at the beginning show. And then I stopped the show part and I just started hiring buyer's agents. At the beginning, again, I just referred any buyer that wasn't AAA plus, do it 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and buy a house almost positively for sure when we get there. I would refer them to somebody and take a referral fee.
Well, buyers take time, listings take skill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, but there's a mindset piece. You're a newer agent. It's so easy for us to say, well, just spend all your time prospecting 3 to 5 hours.
Right.
For us to say there's a mindset, how would you help them overcome that? They're new in the business, newer in this whole process, or maybe they've been in the business and they realize, hey, if I'm going to make 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 a year or more, I've got to figure this prospecting thing out. How do you get their head in that game, Ron? How do you do it? So
we know that there's different behavioral styles. And my behavioral style, someone handed me a phone book and said, just call everybody. And I just started dialing. And everybody in the whole office just stopped and was like, oh my God, he's really doing it, right? Because most people never would. So, I think it's a blessing and a mess sometimes. But, my behavioral style is not having any scripts or anything, I would get on the phone and dial.
You're so shy.
And right. I just wasn't, if you said no to me, I didn't care. And if you said yes to me, I kind of also didn't care. I just wanted to find people that I could work with. And so if your behavioral style is the 95% of people who, when someone says no to you, you're destroyed, that's the mindset part you have to work on.
So what do they do? What do they do?
I think you have to read a lot. I think you have to get away from the people in the office who are like, oh, I tried expireds once and it was terrible. And, someone yelled at me back in 1992, so I've never called one since. You go around, that's I think the gift, like you've got an incredible networking group. Some of these Facebook pages have some incredible networking groups. There are people who are actually doing it. I had the prospecting practice partners every morning. They were doing it. We were absolutely doing it. And not everybody that I practiced with was a type A personality. And so it helped them. So, there's two sayings I always think about. One is, I'd rather tame a lion than teach a lamb to kill. Right.
I like that one.
And so it was easier to take someone like me who just would say anything and then teach me skills than it is to take someone who like at their cellular level, they're afraid to make a contact and get them to act like a lion. And, Tony DeCello's, one of my business partners, a really good friend, one of my favorite people on the planet. He's my coach for years. And he is not a type A personality. He learned to act like one. Okay. If you ask people, they think he is. And, so what he did is he said, someone with like that behavioral style, you have to get incredible at the skills and then you'll be comfortable. Okay. Making the calls. So we're back to the beginning of the call. This is all about the script and the skills and internalizing that. If I know what to say, if I know what to say, I'm cool. I'll make the phone call and say it. For me, I didn't really care if I knew what to say or not. I just did it. However, like normal people, if they have that, all you have to do is get really great at the scripts, and then you won't worry about it and work on your mindset. Read. I don't know what books you guys tell people to read, but Think and Grow Rich. Okay. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. What to say when you talk to yourself. Yeah. I mean, those are the kind of books. Just read I probably read 30 books a year or something. I read a lot, and I just never stop. And those books, I go back and read over and over again. Well, there's a lot of them need to read the script books. Natalie Carroll says, I find it very hard to get people to answer the phone. What would you say I can do about that? She's not getting enough people to answer the phone. I'm not sure what she's doing or who she's calling. If they don't answer, don't talk to them, first of all. Okay. No, I think you have to find better quality numbers, or maybe you have to be dialing more or dialing faster. And that's why we all went to the double phones and double headsets and, using things like the dialer you guys have and other dialers. Is you might just have to dial more numbers, or you might have to find some different source of numbers or some other way to generate business. Yeah. Because I know. And if you would take the Vulcan 7 challenge, and I don't know where you are, Natalie, what part of the world, but if you would find somebody that's doing it, that's in a nearby market, and go figure it out, because they're doing it. Right. There's people out. So in my team is in this little corner space in our office. And the ISAs are right outside my door, and the wall doesn't go to the ceiling. So I hear everything they're saying. And they're on the phone dialing, and I can hear when they're going through a period where nobody's answered, right? So sometimes they'll get 4 or 5 in a row in a 10-minute period, and all of a sudden they will dial for 10 minutes and not one person answers the phone. Mm-hmm. And so you just have to dial the phone if you're doing it by phone, which that's the only way I was good. Like, I didn't like doing open houses or door knocking. It seemed like a waste of time. You weren't a door knocker, okay?
You built this amazing business just on calling. Do you email? Do you send postcards? Do you do any other type of marketing?
I literally did none of that until like 5 years ago. Like my entire mailing budget would be like, well, at one point I was doing a ton of mailings before I discovered doing this because I was like everyone else. I was like, well, what do I do to eat? And I would go through 13,000. I mean, I literally bought envelopes, 13,000 a month, and did my whole neighborhood in those areas. And it's still paying off today because I pounded these people every month for 10 years or something. Once I learned the lead gen scripts and everything, I stopped almost all the mailings. My team, now that I'm not running my team, they're starting to do things with email. We started doing radio. I mean, things that I never did before.
Yeah. Well, you can put a little gravy on the turkey because you get the turkey figured out. So all that's gravy. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, we were, when you think about it, I was making, 500 to 600,000 doing, 150 deals a year and spending almost nothing on marketing. Mm-hmm. Now people are making $1 million and they're keeping 100,000 of it.
Oh, I know. It's a dirty little secret out there. The ego wants that recognition, and they'll barely make a living, but they're selling a lot. They're like an Exxon station. They're only making a penny a gallon, but they're doing a lot of gallons.
They have billboards and
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Doesn't
You drop off a pre-listing package. Matthew wants to know.
Okay, we did a pre-listing pack. At one point, I had an assistant that any expired I didn't reach, they would go drop off an expired pack or a FSBO pack. Honestly, it was just making the phone calls. So we did do a pre-list pack, but it has to be. You don't want to spend a lot of time talking about you. So for people who've taken a class like Bold or I don't know, there's a lot of basic classes. I think Century 20 was a 2-1 class or something. I'm sure they give you what you should put in there. To me, I would just put in like some letters from people that say how wonderful you are, that you succeeded, especially ones that are like, I was listed with so-and-so for 6 months and Ron sold my house in 5 days. Put a few of those letters in there.
Gotcha. But you don't, so you're not doing one?
Not really.
Okay, so you're not sending a pre-listing packet. Okay. No. You're getting to the house and listing it. Okay.
Just
and how long is your average listing appointment?
I was down to about 35 to 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. At one point, we were doing like a 15-minute listing appointment.
Nice.
And right, I mean, we all did, Ren. Remember that?
Yeah.
But the problem was, it was such like we were running them over with a truck, and they did sign and everything. Mm-hmm. And we left so many unanswered questions that you would spend that other half an hour just answering all the questions that you should have answered when you met with them and when you were building rapport and having that first conversation. So at some point I just was like, I know I can do a 3-minute listing appointment, an 8-minute. I mean, I did it. I did it all the time. And it just created so much extra work after the fact. I was like, if it's a half hour to 45 minutes and I can cover everything that's important, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so you just run a little longer. Okay.
Yeah, I just go a little longer.
It saves you some time up front. They feel more reassured. Okay.
Right.
Good. I don't have any other key questions that we haven't covered earlier on here, but I know the Q&A will pick up, so hopefully we'll add a few more.
Yeah, so back to the other thing on mindset, you just have to decide.
Well, you had accountability. I mean, Ann was an accountability partner. I know you had several others, and you had role play partners, which in a way is an accountability partner.
Absolutely. I had a bunch of them.
Surrounding yourself with people, what is it? I won't go to the gym, but I'll go to the gym if somebody's waiting for me there.
Right. And that's what I do now. I mean, I have a 6 a.m. Friday workout guy. I would blow off every Friday if I didn't know he was going to be there. Friday's a terrible day to go work out.
Yeah, accountability is key, especially when it's too easy to just blow these things off.
Right. So, so go back to that. Why are you doing it in the first place? Mm-hmm. Like I knew what cars I wanted to drive. I knew what vacations I wanted to take. I do that Cubs camp every year in January where we go down to Arizona and play baseball and use all the Cubs spring training facilities. It's $5,000 to go play baseball for a week. I couldn't do that if I didn't have, again, like everything got paid for by becoming great at the scripts and dialogues. Look at a lot of the classes that have the best, results. Almost all of them are very heavy on scripts and dialogues.
Yes, they are. That's the gas in the engine is to control that process and lead to a repeatable and duplicatable outcome. It says, can you tell us how you do your listing presentation? What's the
order?
Get a sense of that.
So it was a very basic. You start out with 3 questions that qualified whether you should even be there or not. So do you absolutely have to sell your home? I don't even remember now. God, it's been what was the 3 questions? Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Will you price your home to sell? Do you want me to handle the sale for you?
Okay. That's what you used for the last few decades?
Well, here's the thing. Every listing presentation has those 3 questions.
Yeah.
In some form.
Yeah,
what a lot of people do is they don't even get to, do you want me to handle it for you, until they vomited all over them for an hour about how wonderful they are and their marketing plans and their system. And, Keller Williams is amazing. RE/MAX is amazing, whatever. They just vomit all that garbage over them. And if you ask them right up front, sometimes when I say, do you want me to handle a sale for you? What do people say? Well, actually, my brother's a real estate agent, but someone told me because you sell a lot of houses, I should at least see what price. Or you were so pushy on the phone, I just couldn't really say no to you, so I'm glad you're here. But my brother.
At least you know where you stand before you get started.
Yeah, like it was easy.
That direct. So you have
me.
a very direct approach.
Yeah, it's just, so you have to ask those. I don't care how you ask them, and I don't care when you ask them, but if you want to cut your listing presentation by a lot, that's how you do it. Do you absolutely have to sell your house? Well, we don't care if we sell until next year. Why would you ask that question somewhere down the line at the end of meeting somebody? Don't you think you kind of want to know that right at the first moment when you meet them? If they say, no, we just need a price for our insurance. We're not really that interested in selling unless we can get this price. Great. What price is that? We want $1 million. Okay, the house next door just sold for $150,000. Call me back in like 800 years. This house will be worth $1 million. So you gotta, no matter how you do it, if you would just start with those 3 things, you will cut your time. And there's a way to ask them gently. I've never been a real gentle person, right? So I was okay just being, just being very direct.
And enthusiastic.
So, instead of saying, do you absolutely have to sell your home? You might have to play around with, well, when it sells, where are you going? Well, what happens if you don't sell it? Can you stay here? If you want to dance around it, there's still ways to ask it. Get those pieces of information within the first 3 minutes that you're in that house, and you'll know if you even want to stay.
There you go. So Jeanette is asking, when do you if you're you call an expired and they say, we've just decided not to sell. Jeanette wants to know how you follow after.
Great. So Ren, just role play it with me. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, it's Ron Wexler calling from Keller Williams Real Estate. I saw the listing on your home had expired, and I was just wondering when you plan.
Yeah, we've decided not to sell. We're just.
Oh, you decided not to sell it all?
Yes.
Oh, that's too bad. If you had sold it, where would you have moved to?
We were going to Butte, Montana.
Oh, Butte, Montana. What's in Butte, Montana?
Well, we were just going to buy a place up there, but that place, somebody else bought that, so we're back to square one.
So you lost the one you wanted?
Yeah.
So what would happen if you did sell? Like, when did you lose the one that you wanted? Was that just now, or was that a while ago?
Well, we just sort of waited to see what happened, but about a week ago.
Okay. So if your house had sold yesterday, what would you have done?
That's an interesting question. I don't know what we would have done. We sort of forgot about the fact that it was on the market because it's been on the market a long time, and we really haven't had a lot of activity. I kind of forgot about it.
All right. The last 5 houses I sold, 4 of them had been with other agents, and we sold them within 3 weeks. And they had been with other agents anywhere from 4 to 6 months. If I could get your home back on the market right now and find you a buyer in the next 3 to 5 weeks, would that work for you?
And so Jeanette, what happens is a lot of them say we decided not to sell, and it's a lie.
It's almost always a lie.
Ron will go away,
right.
But really I'd like to sell. So,
right. So the question is,
he kept working on it. He kept going.
Right. Who's better at scripts, them or you?
Yeah,
their script was really good.
Well, I have all my, I'm a seller and I've been practicing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny, but that script with an expired, they have practiced because they've said it.
Yes.
The first guy they called, they had a conversation with. The second guy they called, they had a little conversation with. They were a little bit annoyed. The third guy they called, they were like, I'm not going to sell. And they just wanted him out of their life. The 21st person they called, it's like, I'm not selling my house. Click.
And Jeanette, that's the answer to this, because that's what it is. You've just got to work through these things to get the whole story. We can't assume things or take it at the surface answer. There's a deeper story, and then there's the second story and the third story.
So, all right. So do you want a magic trick to that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what? All right. So this is, this isn't. You don't drop everything else. You still have to do everything else we said.
What?
When you call, whatever tone they have and whatever word they use when they answer the phone, repeat the exact word in the exact rate of speech and the exact tone that they use.
Oh my God, we were doing this today. You're right on the money, Ron.
Yeah,
okay.
to mimic them.
You go, hello. You go, hello. You go.
Right. If you went back and looked at this,
it works.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, because you're on their side. And so like the role play we just did, you were kind of frustrated, right? And if you went back and listened, my tonality, I joined you in that frustration. Mm-hmm. Most agents are, super cheery. It's like, when you're having a rotten day and you answer the phone, you go, hello. And you're like, hi, we're selling blah, blah, blah. You hate that person instantly, right? And so
very true.
Go with them where they are.
Yeah, and get on their level.
If for the next 30 days, all you did, don't do anything else. For next 30 days, if all you did was every time someone answered a phone, you mirrored and matched their tone, rate of speech, and kind of their underlying emotions, and stayed with that the first 3 or 4 sentences of your conversation, your sales will go up. I guarantee it. I'm not saying that's all you should do. I'm saying how simple it can be when you start moving towards mastery on things like scripts.
Give me that website again, because you're teaching the language of Salesforce.
It's MAPS LOS. So MAPS language. So MAPS.com. Yeah.
And they would get you as their teacher, huh?
Yeah, and I think the next one launches like in January, and we pretty much sell out. I mean, it's a pretty cool class.
There we go. Cool.
What's funny is because you think about it, Ren, you and I took that class probably 20 years ago. And, I took it 3 times. I mean, I took it over and over again because it was so powerful. Mm-hmm. And when Diana asked me if I wanted to do it, I jumped all over it. I was like, that's my favorite. It's still even when I was coaching other programs, I was like, that's still my favorite coaching program. So
it is amazing. There are all the little nuances. That's exciting. This has been a real treat, Ron. And I'm going to do, I want to thank you. We've learned a lot. And there are going to be a lot of people that watch this on replay on both the Vulcan 7 people get an automatic replay link. We have the simulcast going on right now on the lead gen site. And I need to do some credits right now, if I may, Ron. And I'm going to. So first, if you're watching on Aaron Wittenstein's lead gen site, you want to get every 7 days, watch someone who is taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week. Get involved with Vulcan7.com. And if you're doing it through them, do it, go to Vulcan7.com/lead gen, and you'll get a special price. I also want to thank Aaron for rebroadcasting this. If a lot of our folks want to get involved with the lead gen group, you can go to Facebook.com/groups/go-to-objections. Facebook.com/groups/go-to-objections. And then also, I promised Aaron I would mention his Expired Mastery Elite program, which is expiredmasteryelite.com, where he teaches a lot of expired techniques. So a lot of us will be watching this on replay, and I'm glad everybody's involved. And I look forward to next week. Every 7 days, we have somebody great like Ron, who is living the great life, having his cake and eat it too.
Yes.
Making a great income and then having plenty of time to enjoy life. So I want to thank everybody. Somebody writes it, Don goes, Ron, go Cubs.
Uh-oh, go Yankees. Uh-oh.
They're saying go Yankees. I love that.
Thank you so much for taking the time out. I think you have been one of our favorite guests so far, and I think we all really learned a lot from you today. I can't wait to rewatch it and get more out of it.
If I can do a last thought.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It doesn't have to be expireds or FSBOs. Get passionate about some aspect of lead generation and become incredible at it.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Sphere of influence.
Door knocking, open houses.
Talk to somebody.
Doesn't matter. Just go talk to enough people every day to get the life that you want to have and become good at those conversations so you don't have to have as many of them.
Real estate's a contact sport.
Yes.
It is.
Good. We'll see
Simple,
everybody.
Simple, not easy.
Make sure to get your Graders mint chocolate chip. You've done 4 or 5 hours of prospecting. It's time for a treat.
Go get them.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
See you next week.